Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today we're going to be replacing our electric choke on our Holley 750 with a manual choke. We're going to go to something with a little bit more control. So what I have on the car today is an electric choke. And the reason why I'm replacing it is because it's not as user-friendly and kind of adjustable as I'd want. A good example is when I'm taking the car out of the garage, at some points, there's a chance that the car is going to stall. So with that electric choke, you have a bimetal spring that's going to heat up. And while that spring is heating up and opening, if the car stalls and it's not warming up, and the choke is still warming up until you turn the key off. When you turn the key off, now you have to wait for that choke to make its way back down and to essentially be almost close to start again. I've run into this a few times and it's kind of a pain just to sit there and wait for it to come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up replacing with a manual choke. For the manual choke, I'm going to have a cable that I'm running under the dash all the way to the carburetor, and I'm going to replace the electric choke that's on the Holley 750 there with a manual choke from Holley. In order to have a manual choke on a car, I believe you can only get it if you had a Boss 302 or maybe one of the Super Cobra jets. In the vehicles like this, the standard Mach 1s, I think they were all thermal chokes, so I'm running off the exhaust, heating it up, and then opening with temperature. Since that is the case, I'm going to have to drill a hole in the firewall. While I'm drilling that hole, I'm going to have to put a grommet in there so that it doesn't damage the choke cable at all. So we're going to put this hole exactly where it would be on the 69 Boss 302, 70 Boss 302, or the Super Cobra jet cars. There's a dimple right here in the firewall that shows you where it's going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the old choke. To remove the old choke, it's going to be these three brass colored screws. So what I'm finding is to be able to get this old choke out, I'm going to have to take off the cover just to get these screws by it. Okay. So with that out of the way, now we can go ahead and we can take these three screws out. All right, with those three out, I can now see the lever that the choke is attached to. I'm gonna have to take out the little pair pin on that. So you can see the cotter pin there right on the other side of the high idle cam. All right, now that I have the electric choke off, I can see that there's some open holes here that I'm supposed to check. On the other side of the electric choke, there's also a little gasket that connects to there. I'm not sure if it's open and it's open to the bottom of the carb or not. I'm gonna end up taking the carburetor off just to double check and make sure that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the fuel lines, remove these bolts, and then take the carburetor up and out. Okay, now I have it apart. On Holley's, on the other side of the electric choke, there is a gasket which provides vacuum to the electric choke. You might not know that, but with this, there's an open hole here where we're gonna need to plug it. And inside of the choke kit that they give you, you're gonna get a lead ball like this. So this little lead ball is what we're gonna be using to plug the choke. And to get it in place, you're gonna have to put this in here. You're gonna have to use a hammer and get it in. To be able to check and make sure, every carburetor might have a different location. So what I do is I'd either put air or carburetor fluid through these. I'd blow through here, blow through here, blow through here to come out the bottom if it's providing vacuum. For mine, it's this one right here. So blowing air through this puts air out the bottom. So it needs to be covered. I set it up here. So you use a punch to get it in and you're trying to get it flush. So now that I have it started, I'm going to use a punch and I'm going to push it in. All right, now that I'm completely beyond flush, I'm going to check it with air. And I'm probably going to put some gasketing material over it just to hold it too. Yeah, so it's definitely not leaking now. Just to be extra sure, I'm going to add a little bit of gasket maker to it, just to sure everything is completely plugged up. Now with that apart, we're going to be replacing this idler cam, so I'm going to remove the one that came on it. That's coming off. Okay, and we're actually going to be replacing with two parts. So part one is going to be here. We're going to be utilizing the spring, and there's also this lever that's going to be used too. So the way this is going to be assembled on the carb is we have this piece, spring is going through the center, and then this is going to go on the outside. So if I go here, this piece, okay, that is on. This piece is going to go on the outside, being held like this. I'm going to have to take this cable and bend it up to the top of, on top of this. So this is going to go up and on top. Let's see if I can get it with this small screwdriver. Yeah, so got that in place. Screw is in the correct orientation. This is now functioning. So when this opens, cool, that is working. So everything's in position where it should be. I'll go ahead and tighten this down. So now we're going to look at how to set up the manual choke. So to set up the manual choke properly, you have the choke lever here. So this ball needs to be underneath. So this should be moving on this. When you go to set it up, this plate is going to go right on top. But when you set this plate up right on top, you need to make sure that this square arm right here is on the other side of this lever. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to twist this all the way this way. And we're going to go ahead and put this on. Okay, so you can see this pivot point, this lever here, so that when the choke does open, this entire assembly is going to move with it. Now, if you do not do it this way, there's a chance that the choke will operate backwards, which is not what you want. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the choke together. You're going to see while I screw this on, I'm going to slide the choke arm here within this piece. If I don't do that, then your choke isn't going to be opening and closing. So just to check the operation, choke lever all the way in, which would move this lever all the way down, should be wide open. So the choke in the car is pulled all the way back. You can see this lever is straight up, so this will go up and this will turn it off. That's the point when the high idle cam will come in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screw this on now. we're getting ready to go back on the car. And you can see the choke is not working. So full forward, it's open. Full backwards, choke pulled out, it's closed. In here you can see the linkage. So the screw right here is riding on this cam. So it's no contact, no contact. Okay, closed. Back contact. So you can see it moving when it makes contact. So it's all set up correctly. Now I'm good to put it back on the car. Now that I have this connected, I can go ahead and mark the starting position on the choke of where it should be when it's here. So I'm going to put a mark on it so I know exactly how far to pull it out to get a small crack here to start the car. Then when it's fully in, I know the choke is fully off and this is open, wide open. Well, there we have it. The choke is installed. It's working well. It started up the car nice and cleanly. You know, while I was doing the project, I modified a few other things in the carburetor. Maybe I'll pull it off and we'll do another video on that later, but if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Smacky's Garage.